Let's hear from today's guest.
Come on in.
I'm Lisa Elia. I'm a communication strategist, speaker coach, and media trainer. My interest in the field of communication began early. We moved from the United States to Geneva, Switzerland when I was just 4. I had turned 4 just a few months before. And my mother had heard about this great immersive program where the kids learned French really quickly. So I was dropped off at this kindergarten with not a word of French in my head. And after 3 days of not knowing how to communicate with anyone, I switched to an international school. In school, I developed friendships with kids from all over the world, and so did my family. So we were exposed to people of many different cultures with different accents and ways of communicating. That led me to pay more attention to nonverbal communication and other communication differences. I didn't know that's what was happening at the time, but that is how I became more observant. It was my first very bad public speaking engagement as a professional that led me to dig further and learn more about what it takes to be a great public speaker and communicator. While I had earned my degree in communication with a PR focus, the one public speaking class I had during college was so-so. It didn't teach me anything about mindset, habits, managing nerves before going up to speak, or anything that it takes to be an embodied leader. That's a great focus of my work now.
Welcome to The Column.
A moment to pause, listen, and reflect on what leadership looks like in real life.
Embodied leadership is expressed through more than your words. It's your presence, your body language, your emotional regulation and level of patience, and your openness to other people. A leader can say the right thing, but if they're tense or rushed, defensive, or maybe not listening fully, people can feel that immediately. Our thoughts and beliefs shape our emotions, and our emotions show up in the body. So they affect our breathing, pacing, facial tension, listening, and how much safety or pressure other people feel in our presence. So for me, embodied leadership is about alignment between what a leader intends, what they communicate, and how they're actually experienced. When leaders are under pressure, I help them understand that communication behavior is often regulation behavior. Under stress, people default to their patterns. Some people become overly controlling, some withdraw, some become rigid or overly rehearsed. I help leaders notice those patterns, understand the thoughts that are driving them, and use simple practices to become more centered and intentional before they speak. One of the biggest gaps I see is that leaders often judge their communication by the clarity of their content only, while everyone around them is reacting to the full experience of them. Their tone, their patience, their openness, their listening, their emotional state, all communicate. When considering the psychology behind presence, start with the nervous system. That's what everything stems from. When your nervous system is steady, your communication is clear, paced, and responsive. When it's not steady, your communication can become distorted, often without you even realizing it. One of the most important concepts here is what's often called amygdala hijack, and that's when the brain perceives threat, that could be real or imagined, and it shifts into a reactive state. In that moment, the part of the brain responsible for clear thinking and decision-making, which is your prefrontal cortex, essentially goes offline, and this more primitive part of your brain, the amygdala, takes over. One of the reasons for that amygdala hijack is that the body is preparing you to do something big, to respond to a perceived threat. And so it's producing extra adrenaline and cortisol. The overabundance of cortisol interferes with brain function, and that's why you see people either lashing out or freezing and forgetting what they're saying, stumbling over their words, using a lot of fillers. It's that cortisol that's interfering with us being at our best. You can see it happen in real time, and you might even feel this yourself. You might start over-explaining, talking faster, interrupting, or trying to control the situation. Or you might shut down, forget what you're saying, and struggle to articulate what you actually mean. This is where people often overuse fillers, they're buying time to think. So even if a message is strong, your delivery becomes reactive instead of intentional. This is why I teach my clients a preparation technique to keep them out of fight, flight, or freeze when they have interviews or presentations or any high-stakes situation. What you're doing is switching your body from the sympathetic, fight, flight, or freeze part of your nervous system to the parasympathetic, rest and digest, calmer part of your nervous system. When your nervous system is calmed down, your brain works much more effectively, and the amygdala is not ruling. The prefrontal cortex is what's in charge. One of the most important questions you can ask yourself to communicate effectively as an embodied leader is, what am I trying to communicate here? Why am I saying these words to these people right now? When you feel it, they will. Even when you're talking about numbers and very dry information, when you are thinking about and feeling the human effects of whatever it is, whatever you're doing, whatever you're talking about, that shows up in the way you communicate. It will be reflected in your nonverbal communication, head to toe. That's when people will get your message on a deeper level. People look for congruence between your words and your nonverbal communication, including your tone of voice, your facial expression, your posture, your movements, all of it. They can tell when something is fake too. I've seen people recommend certain movements and gestures that are not organic, and it feels really false. When you are doing something because somebody told you to move a certain way, people can usually tell something is off. That's what diminishes trust. To cultivate embodied awareness in your daily routine, look at your habits. What is the first thing you're doing when you start your day? How are you creating your mindset? How are you responding to challenges? Are you globalizing them or compartmentalizing them and moving on? I often say that you are not the passive recipient of your emotions. You can change how you feel. And consciously changing how you feel through exercise, writing, meditation, or a variety of other practices is going to help you show up better in the right state to lead your team, get through your day, or do whatever you want to do. Creating solid routines to begin and end your day will help you show up at your best. In the morning, you could recite affirmations of what you want to achieve, how you want to feel. I love a good to-be list, which is a list of words that exemplify how you want to show up. I include words on my to-be list, such as patient, kind, thoughtful, resourceful. It helps me when I'm having a stressful moment to go back to my list and think, is that who I want to be? If I'm losing my patience, for example. So you can recite that as part of your affirmations. You could visualize your day going a certain way. Meditation can calm and center you, even if it's for only 2 minutes. Reciting things you're grateful for in the morning and evening can be very beneficial in terms of giving you perspective and maintaining a level of optimism. And we need optimism to accomplish just about anything. Celebrating some wins from the day, even if they're small, can help you relax and have a sense of closure before you go to sleep. Also, imagining how you want to wake up has been found to help you to sleep better and wake up in a better mood. The benefits of physical exercise cannot be overstated. With cardiovascular exercise, you are pumping more blood and oxygen throughout your body. That's going to make you feel more alert, feel more energized, and have greater lung capacity, which is very important if you're speaking a lot. Exercises and physical activity that requires coordinated movement, such as dance or playing basketball or tennis. All of those types of exercise create more dendrite connections in the brain, so they are literally making you mentally sharper. And who doesn't need that? As a leader, there's a ripple effect from your inner voice to the organizational culture. What I've seen over and over is that leaders' internal tone does not stay internal. It becomes the emotional and behavioral tone of the entire organization very quickly. That happens through something that's very real, and that is emotional contagion. As human beings, we naturally pick up on the emotional states of the people around us. We read it through body language, tone, pacing, and even subtle cues that we're barely conscious of. So when a leader walks into a room with tension, urgency, or frustration, that spreads quickly. And the same is true in the other direction. When a leader projects a sense of feeling grounded, clear, and steady, that spreads as well. It's extremely important in times of crisis. Quite often when people think about their organizational culture, they think of their mission statement or maybe a list of core values. But it's so much more about what gets modeled from the leader, the behaviors that are reinforced, what's tolerated, and what's celebrated. People are watching you as the leader to see how you behave when things are uncertain, when there's stress, when something goes wrong. They're also watching to see how you respond to certain individuals on your team and to see who is celebrated, which ideas are followed up on, how ideas are received. They're paying attention to all of that. What people are looking for from a leader is clarity, composure, confidence, and a sense of curiosity, especially when things go wrong. When there are disputes or if problems arise, the team is going to look to you as the leader to see if you're blaming people or you're defensive, or if you seem undone, like you don't know what to do. Getting yourself into a calm, centered state before you react is one of the best things you can do as a leader. There will be times when you can't go off by yourself, but taking a beat to take a deep breath and relax your mind for just a moment can help you respond much more effectively when you're under pressure. There's a lot of evidence that compassionate communication is what works best with most people. And when I say compassionate communication, I don't mean being overly soft or avoiding accountability. I mean communicating in a way that combines clarity with respect and directness with emotional awareness. It's the difference between correcting someone in a way that creates defensiveness versus in a way that invites reflection and growth. It's also about how leaders handle tension in the moment. For example, instead of ignoring it or pushing through it, a leader might say, I can sense there's some tension here. Let's take a moment and focus on what we can solve. That simple shift can change the entire dynamic of a conversation. It can reduce fear, redirect energy, and bring people back into a more constructive state. What supports all of this is what you as the leader do outside of those moments. That's where those habits we talked about shape how you think, feel, and show up. People are not always aware of how they show up. I recommend you conduct a communication audit. Video record yourself going through your day and pay attention to how you interact with people. Is your tone and body language what you'd like it to be? You can also turn the volume all the way down and focus just on your body language. Then you could listen only to the audio and just listen for tone of voice, vocal delivery, pitch, and see if that matches how you want to communicate. Are you communicating with what I call the winning formula, which is a combination of confidence, authority of your topic, and warmth? I believe warmth comes first. People don't care about what you have to say until they feel like you care about them. Those three together position you well in just about any situation. As you step further into embodied leadership, before every conversation, pause and ask yourself, what do I want to create here? That small shift moves you from reacting to leading. And if you want to build that more intentionally, whether for yourself or your team, that's the work I do inside Speaker Shift Leadership Communication Accelerator and in my private coaching. You can find the details on all of that and some wonderful freebies at lisaelia.com. That's lisaelia.com. Because leadership isn't just heard, it's felt.
Thank you, Lisa, for sharing with us about embodied leadership. This is Dr. Mel Baker.
And Sean Manair on Living Reflections.
Thanks for listening.